Hey, welcome back. First of all, I want to apologize for the heater. I hope that's not too loud or annoying, but it is cold down here in Texas right now, so I need that to keep functioning out here. I do not have central air heating in the shop. But today we are going to do some repair videos. I got quite a few I'm going to make on the same car. It is a 2010 Toyota Avalon. So if you're here to learn how to do a repair, you're welcome. We're about to get into it. We are going to do rear brakes in this video. Actually, my hands are filthy. You'll see I just got done doing the fronts, which is another video. If you check my channel, it will be there. But yeah, there we go. It's enough of that. Let's get started. So I have it up in the air. Also, sorry, I'm trying to hold my camera as steady as possible and sit it down when I can. I get a lot of people complaining about how shaky it is. So if it seems better, let me know in the comments. If it's still terrible, I apologize. I'm doing the best I can here. But here we go. So I got it up in the air. It is supported if you're doing this in your driveway. This is super easy to do. If you've never done it before, you can save yourself a good deal of money by giving it a go. Just get it up in the air, put it on a jack stand, make sure it's supported good so it doesn't fall on you, and get your tire removed to start. And that is where we are at here. Also, if you go up under the hood before you get it up in the air or even after, make sure you take off the cap to the brake fluid reservoir, which I will show me doing here. All right, here we are. I'm on a ladder, but this is the engine bay right here. This reservoir has this cap on it, so you just grab it and pull it right off of there. So just leave that cap off while you're doing the work, and then you'll be good to go. And there's that. Cool. So here we are. Brake fluid reservoir cap is off, tire is off. We are ready to get going. The rear brakes on these Avalons are as simple as possible. So we have a 14mm bolt here and a 14mm bolt here. We take those two off and this whole caliper will slide off. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out real quick, and then we will pick up with removing the pads and the caliper bracket. I got my 14mm bolts out. I also want to point out that right inside here, you'll see there's like a 14mm nut or head right here. This is also a 14mm. If this starts to spin when you're loosening it, just hold that with a wrench. Most of the time you can take them right out and it's not an issue, but sometimes these will start to spin and you need to hold it with a wrench. Mine came right out without even touching them. But once you get there, you're just going to go ahead and grab this puppy, work it right off, and set it up at the top here. So when you're doing brake pads, if you're new to this, you pretty much always want to replace or at least get your rotors turned. So you want to feel them. If they have any grooves or any markings whatsoever, you need to make sure that's a smooth surface before you put your new pads on. No matter what, you know, sometimes it may feel really smooth, but it has a slight warp to it or something. I pretty much always at least get them turned if I'm not replacing them. So that's the goal here on this one. I'm hoping that this one can be turned along with the other three. But to get there, we're going to go ahead and pull these brake pads out. So you just grab them with your hands, you yank them out. You'll see there's almost no pad left on these back ones. Oh, that one was metal to metal. This rotor may have to get replaced. I'm going to show you what causes that. Oh yeah, this is going to get a new rotor. Look at the back here, boy. That puppy's chewed up. All right, so we're going to need to get this caliper bracket off right here. And that is, again, 14mm. You got one down here and one up here. These are going to be really tight, so you might need a long handled ratchet, but we're going to break them loose and get those off. And when we do, we can remove this whole caliper bracket. I've repositioned up to the front of the car for a better filming position. But here's the caliper bracket in my hand. So what I want to show you, this is something that a lot of people forget. Even shops forget to check this, and it causes a lot of problems. So this is your caliper bracket. These are where your actual caliper bolts on. These are called caliper slides. So this should pull in and out nice and easy like this. Just nice and easy and slide. You saw how stuck that was and how much force I had to put to get that out? We need to clean these and we need to re-grease them. Start with this first one. They have these little rubber boots on them. Just literally get your fingers on the boot and just pop it down off of the caliper caliper slide, just like that. So now that it's pulled down and exposed, this should just pull right out, just like that. I'll grab brake cleaner, and first I'll start by just dousing it down and getting what I can off of here. Use a paper towel to wipe it. Just get whatever gunk I can get off of that slide. That'll get 90% of it, you know, maybe even all of it, depending on what it's like. But this old grease is a little gummy. So then I'll get me a piece of red Scotch-Brite like this and just very gently rub around it. Just one or two passes. I'll put some heavier pressure where there's grease still built up. Just like that. And then we'll do one more little dousel of brake cleaner. Wipe her down, and she's good as new. There we go. All I do with these is I just douse a little brake cleaner down in each hole, let it wash around and just drain it out like this a couple times. It's really, I mean, without a brush or something you can put down in there, it's going to be about as good as you can do. You might be able to shove your pinky up in the hole or something, maybe like a screwdriver with a paper towel wrapped around it, but for the most part this typically gets the job done pretty well. All right, now that that caliper bracket is dried out, I'm going to just take my caliper slide here. I'm going to dunk it down in the grease. Kind of wipe off the excess there. You don't want too much, but you don't want too little really. You just kind of want to smear it around, get a nice good coating on it. Maybe have a little bit extra on there. Just like that. That'll do. You don't need a super excess, but you don't need to be too light either. I know that's not telling you much, but I know it's kind of a by feel thing, and you can't really screw it up. I'm not gonna lie to you. So this is the shorter of the two calipers slides. So you're just gonna stick it back in its side, and then just work it in and out, 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 work it in and out. If it starts to get gummy and not want to slide, you can pull it back out, clean it off again, and then reapply. But this is moving nice and easy and freely, so that is good now, much better than what we had. So we are going to send it. All right, now that we've re-greased our caliper slides and they move in and out nice and freely, we are going to finish up over here. So the next step is going to be to remove your rotor, so that way you can get it turned or replace it. All right, this is actually a good rotor to demo on. So the other side, like most of them, just wiggled right on off of there. This puppy is stuck, so we're going to hit it with the purse. What you want to do whenever you're using a hammer on a rotor, you can use this to break it free. Just do not hit on the face of the rotor if you're going to reuse it where the brake calipers hit. You need to hit around on this drum or in between the studs without hitting the studs as well. So you hit here or here. So because the way this rotor is designed, it has this nice ledge, so we're just going to tap around the center part. I'm replacing this rotor, but I'm going to try and show you just in case you're reusing yours. So you just kind of tap it like that and it will pop free, and then you can wiggle it off. There we go. Just keep tapping and spinning and moving and she will slide right on off of there. Whew. Just like that. All right, I've actually forgot to do this, so I'm gonna put this in before the last step of the video, so don't worry about this wet stuff, it's coming up. But here we go. So second to last step is we need to depress this caliper. So you'll see how far out this piston is. This presses on your brake pads when you press the brake pedal, squeezes them into the rotor. Then over time, as the pads get smaller, it extends out. So we need to compress this back into the housing. This is why you need to have the cap off of your brake fluid reservoir. On these pads, there's a fancy tool that ratchets to compress calipers, but it won't fit in these tiny little things. So I'm going to show you the old school way of doing it. Hopefully that flashlight's not in the way of the camera, but I'm going to show you the old school way of doing it. It takes two hands, but I'll give you the idea of it. So you're going to use an old brake pad, like this one. You're going to put it in upside down on the inside there, and you're going to take a C-clamp. We're going to fish this down over it. We're going to hook that arm on the bolt back here where the line comes in, and then tighten it down right there and just squeeze it back together until it's nice and flat and flush. All right, here is the setup after I've depressed it all the way. So you'll see I have that end on the bolt. My heater just died. Oh no. But I have that end on the bolt and that end dead square on the pad, and then you just compress it. If at any point it starts to get tight while you're using this method, then you may be not centered on it and cocking the caliper. So if it starts to get hard to push at any point after it's moving, just loosen it up, make sure you're square up, and then continue. but it's really straightforward. These go in like butter, man, so it's not too hard. But then you just loosen it up and then take your setup off of it. So there's your old brake pad. Voila. Caliper is depressed. And now we just need to move to cleaning up our hub surface, and we can put everything back together. All right, here we are, the rotor is off, so we're gonna take a look at our emergency brake pads. They are not very thick to begin with, so that is actually plenty fine. It is very rare those are gonna wear out on automatic, unless somebody accidentally drives with the parking brake on, but they're looking just fine. So what we're gonna do, this is the final step before we're ready for reassembly, is you're gonna take yourself some red Scotch-Brite, and again, I will have a link for the pads and rotors up in the video, and in the description I will have the pads and rotors as well as Scotch-Brite and any other weird tool that may be required. But yeah, here we go. So this mating surface here where the rotor sits, that's why it gets stuck on there. You get some surface rust in there, and it can be a pain. So we're gonna take some red Scotch-Brite and we're just gonna wipe around and knock off this surface rust as best we can. Spin it around. There you go, just kind of work yourself around it with your finger. Just giving it a good old rub down. Once you've wiped it all down, knock that surface rust down, give it a douse of brake cleaner. I like to hit the emergency brake stuff as well. Just knock off whatever little brake dust is in there. Voila, let it dry, and we are ready to reinstall the brakes. All right, here it is. We are next day. We are finishing out the rear brakes on this here Toyota Avalon. We left off after we got everything cleaned up and the caliper pins re-greased. Obviously I did a bunch of other stuff. I did some front axles and a bunch of other videos that'll be popping up on my channel here as well. But so the next day I got new rotors. We are ready to reassemble. So I'm going to show you all just a little bit of what we're going to do here. So here we go. I got the new rotor. I slid it on, slid right on, no problem. So I like to do this on the bench, but we're going to go take the caliper bracket and get rid of these little metal clips and put the new ones in, clean it up just a smidgen, and then I'll show you a little trick to help potentially prevent squeaking in the future. Somebody showed it to me. I don't have any tangible evidence that it works, but the logic is there, so we're going to continue it. So literally you just take a flathead and go shaplunk and pop these puppies out just like that. Simple and easy. So flathead in behind the metal, pop it out. So now I'm going to hit it with my favorite thing, a little Scotch-Brite. So we're just gonna brush it up to make sure it's clean. Hit it with a douse of brake cleaner, my other favorite thing. And then we're ready to put the new ones on. There. So I'll give this just a second for that brake cleaner to evaporate off and dry up. For whatever reason, these brake pads came with a whole extra set of the metal clips. So look, you know, I have enough to do 2 rear brake jobs, but we don't have to. These ones are the same, so it doesn't really matter. You just put them in whichever side you choose. Just click those in. They hang over a good deal on the back side here, but it's not going to affect anything because that's on the outside of the rotor, and it's not far enough to hit the tire or anything. So we're just going to full send it. And what I like to do here, here's the trick. So what we're going to do now that we have the little metals on, so we're going to get a little dabble of grease. The other thing we keep using here, we're going to put that on every little point of contact that the pad makes. So basically just in the little cutouts, the little like U-shaped cutout area, just put it on the little fingers and on the bottoms of that, and that will help with the brakes pads sliding back and forth to prevent premature squeaking in the future. So once I get this grease on, we'll pick back up over at the tire, and I will show you how to put these puppies on. All right, so now I'm sitting here ready to reinstall these. You always want to put a little bit of Loctite. I'm using blue Loctite, number 242, but just a little dabble of Loctite on the caliper bolts themselves, or the caliper bracket bolts, I'm sorry. But there we go. So now it is as simple as just sliding it over into position and getting your bolt started. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So now I'm just gonna give it a good ooga tight wise. There is a torque spec. I'll put the torque spec on the screen if you want it. Most people just kind of make these tight. But these are smaller bolts than the front, so can't get too crazy with it. All right, here you go. I just wanted to show you this just in case yours are like mine. So with the little brackets, they kind of tend to want to fall down with gravity. So the bottom ones on the other side did a lot better than even this bottom is doing. But I kind of used the top side first to push it up like that, and now I'm going to get it in the bottom. But this looks like it's going to take me 2 hands, so give me just a sec. Maybe a little flathead screwdriver to make sure that's down where it's supposed to be, just like that. Now I'm gonna, so there you go. So now it's slid in and it's holding it down into position where it needs to be. So we're gonna do the other side, and then we're ready to put the caliper on. All right, so the only thing really worth mentioning on the caliper install is just make sure you don't twist up the brake line. But otherwise, you are good to go. You just plop it back in there. You just kind of slide it back in over the top, and now put your bolts in and tighten those puppies up. You're good to put the tire back on. So if this video helped you out, hit that thumbs up button. If you got time and want to help us out, order the parts on Amazon. They're in the description. They were in the link somewhere in the video. And yeah, hopefully the heater wasn't too annoying and I wasn't too shaky with the camera. If I was or wasn't, let me know in the comments. Thank you.